If you are 40 years old and you have nothing saved, nothing invested, and you feel like you already missed your shot at getting rich, I need you to listen to me very carefully because I'm about to tell you something that took me over 40 years in the markets to fully understand. You have not missed anything. You are not too late. But you are also not going to fix this by doing what everybody else does, which is nothing, and hoping things work out. I have sat across the table from some of the wealthiest people on the planet, and I have also watched brilliant, hardworking people stay broke their entire lives. And the difference between the two groups was never luck, and it was never their starting age either. It was that one group understood three specific moves, and they made them without hesitation, and the other group either never learned them or knew them and refused to act. Today, I'm going to give you those three moves. Not vague advice, not believe in yourself. Real, specific, uncomfortable moves that will change the trajectory of your life if you're willing to actually do them. So sit down, forget what you think you know about money, and let's get into it. Before I go any further, I want to say something to you directly. What I'm about to walk you through is worth more than most people pay a financial advisor for in a year. I'm not going to charge you a cent for it. All I ask is you hit subscribe right now before you keep watching, because I put out videos like this regularly. And if you're serious about turning your financial life around, you cannot afford to miss the next one. It costs you nothing and it might be worth more to you than anything else you do this year. Go ahead, hit that button, and let's keep going. Now let's talk honestly about where you actually stand, because most people at 40 have never once sat down and looked at the real numbers. I built my entire career on one simple idea. You cannot manage what you don't measure. Before you make a single move with your money, you need to know exactly what you're working with. How much do you have in savings? How much debt do you have? And what kind? Because credit card debt at 24% interest is an income emergency, but a mortgage at 4% is not the same animal at all. What's your combined household income? Are you tracking where your money actually goes every month? Or are you guessing? Do you have any legal protection in place? A will, an emergency fund, anything. These protections matter more than people realize, because one unexpected event, a job loss, a medical bill, a broken down car, can wipe out years of progress if you have no cushion and no plan in place. Most people avoid this exercise because they're scared of what they'll find. I understand that fear. But here's the truth. The market doesn't care about your feelings, and neither does your bank account. You have to get a clear, honest picture of where you stand today, because you cannot chart a course to a destination if you don't know your starting point. And understand something, everybody's starting point looks completely different. One person at 40 has $3,000 of credit card debt and nothing saved at all. Another person has $40,000 in debt, but also has $100,000 sitting untouched in an old retirement account from a job they left years ago. Another person has zero debt, but has never invested a single dollar in their life because they were too scared of losing money. None of these situations are hopeless, and none of them are identical, which is exactly why guessing does not work here. You need the real numbers written down in front of you. Take a piece of paper or open a simple spreadsheet. It truly does not matter which. Write down everything you own on one side and everything you owe on the other. That one page becomes your starting line. Now here's the part that should actually give you hope. Wealth comes down to three factors, and only three: the amount of money you put in, the rate of return you earn on it, and the amount of time you let it grow. That's it. That's the entire game. Every financial product, every strategy, every piece of advice you will ever hear boils down to adjusting one of those three levers. There is no secret fourth ingredient hiding somewhere that only the wealthy know about. If you're 40, the one factor working against you is time. You have less of it than someone who's 25. But here's what nobody tells you. You can make up for a weakness in one factor by getting aggressive in the other two. Less time means you need to either put in more dollars or get a better return, or both. That's not a wish, that's math. And math doesn't lie to you. It doesn't care about, and it doesn't care how you feel on any given day. So let's talk about exactly how you attack the two levers you still control. The first move, and I mean this has to happen before anything else, is you have to find the leak in your own boat before you try to sail faster. I've watched people obsess over getting a slightly better return on their investments while completely ignoring that they're bleeding money every single month on things they don't even remember buying. This is not about depriving yourself of coffee. So don't tune me out thinking I'm about to tell you to stop buying lattes. Small purchases are not what's keeping you broke. And anyone who tells you otherwise is missing the entire point. This is about the big leaks, the ones hiding in plain sight because you've gotten used to them. Are you paying for a car you can't afford because it made you feel a certain way at the dealership? Are you carrying a mortgage or rent payment that's eating half your take-home pay? Are you sitting on credit card balances at 20-something% interest while you tell yourself you'll deal with it later? Every dollar you're paying in high interest debt is a guaranteed negative return. And I don't care how good you think you are at picking stocks. Nobody consistently beats a guaranteed loss like that. So the very first move is triage. Sit down, list every debt you have, and attack the highest interest rate ones first with everything extra you can find. Not a little extra. Everything. Because until that bleeding stops, nothing else you do is going to matter because you're rowing a boat with a hole in it. Let me give you a real example of why the order matters. Say you owe $8,000 on a credit card at 22% interest, and you also owe $15,000 on a car loan at 6%. If you split your extra money evenly between both, you're actually losing ground because that credit card is compounding against you far faster than the car loan ever will. Throw every spare dollar at the 22% debt first, kill it completely, and only then move to the next one. This isn't complicated. It's just something almost nobody actually sits down and does on paper. Once the high interest debt is dead, the next part of this move is building real margin in your life. I mean, actual breathing room between what you earn and what you spend, because that margin is the raw fuel for everything that comes next. Most people at 40 who are broke aren't broke because they don't earn enough. They're broke because there is no gap between what comes in and what goes out. And that gap, not the size of your paycheck, is what actually determines whether you build wealth or stay stuck. You have to manufacture that gap on purpose because it will not appear on its own, no matter how much you wish for it. That might mean selling a car you can't afford for something more modest. It might mean moving to a cheaper place for a couple of years. It might mean canceling subscriptions and memberships you forgot you even had, the ones quietly draining your account every single month without you noticing. None of this is glamorous. None of this will make a good Instagram post. But I promise you, every wealthy person I have ever known at some point in their life went through a phase of brutal, unglamorous discipline. And that phase is exactly what you need right now. And once you've created that margin, don't let it just sit in your checking account, waiting to get spent on something you don't even want in 3 months. Give it a job immediately. Set up an automatic transfer the same day your paycheck lands, so the money moves before you ever get a chance to talk yourself into spending it. The people who succeed at this aren't relying on willpower every single day because willpower runs out. They're relying on a system that moves the money for them automatically. You are not too old to do this. You are exactly on time to do this, starting today. The second move is where most people at your stage completely fail, and it's because they play it too safe. I did not become one of the most successful investors of my generation by putting my money in the safest possible place and hoping for the best. I became successful by understanding that real wealth is built by taking calculated, intelligent risk, not by hiding from it. Safety, the way most people define it, is actually one of the riskiest things you can do with your money because it guarantees you fall behind inflation while you feel good about being cautious. If you're 40 and broke, the worst thing you can do with whatever money you do manage to save is park it in a savings account, earning basically nothing while inflation quietly eats it alive. That's not safety. That's a slow, guaranteed loss dressed up to look responsible. You need your money working as hard as you are. For most people, that means putting real, consistent money into a diversified stock portfolio, index funds, And if your employer offers any kind of match on a retirement account, you take every single dollar of that match because that is free money, and turning it down is financial malpractice. Historically, a broad stock market index has returned somewhere around 9 or 10% a year over long stretches of time. And if you're consistently investing over the next 20 or 25 years, that kind of return, compounding quietly in the background, can turn modest monthly contributions into a genuinely large number. But I want to push you further than just the basics, because basics alone won't be enough given your timeline. This is where you have to think about asymmetry. I've spent my whole career looking for bets where what I could gain massively outweighed what I could lose. For a regular person at 40, that might mean starting a side business with real upside instead of just clocking more hours at a job with a fixed ceiling. It might mean investing in a skill or a certification that dramatically increases your earning power, something that pays for itself many times over across the rest of your working life. It might mean real estate, where you can use leverage intelligently to control an asset larger than your cash alone would allow out. Think about that for a second, because most people never do the math on it. If you put 20% down on a property and that property appreciates by 10%, you didn't earn 10% on your money. You earn closer to 50% because you only put a fifth of the price down in the first place. That's leverage working in your favor. And it's exactly the kind of asymmetry I built my career looking for. The point isn't to gamble. Gambling is putting money into something you don't understand and hoping. What I'm describing is the opposite of that. It's putting money into something you've actually studied, where the potential upside clearly and reasonably outweighs the downside you're risking. The point is to stop treating every dollar like it has to be protected in bubble wrap and start treating your remaining decades like they still have enormous compounding potential if you feed them properly. Time is short, so the quality and boldness of your decisions has to go up to compensate. That is not reckless. That is exactly how you make up for a shorter runway. The third move is the one people ignore the most, and it might be the most powerful one available to you. Your income itself is an asset, and for most people, it is wildly underdeveloped. I don't care how good your investment strategy is. If you're only earning $45,000 a year, there's a hard ceiling on how fast you can build wealth, no matter how disciplined you are. You can only cut expenses down to zero, but there is no ceiling on how much you can earn, which means this lever, once you start pulling it, has more raw power than the other two combined. So alongside fixing your spending and getting serious about investing, you have to get aggressive about growing what you earn. That starts with an honest look at your career. Are you underpaid for what you actually do? Go find out. Look at what people in your role are earning elsewhere. And if there's a gap, either negotiate for more where you are or go get it somewhere else. Too many people stay quiet for a decade out of loyalty to a company that would replace them in a week if it benefited the balance sheet. That loyalty is costing you real money every single year. I've seen people psych themselves out of asking for a raise for years when a single honest conversation with their manager, backed up with real data about what the market pays, got them a 15 or 20% bump in 20 minutes. That conversation is uncomfortable. It's also one of the highest hourly returns you will ever get on anything in your life, beyond your main job. Look at what skills you already have that other people would pay for. You do not need to invent something new. You need to package what you already know and sell it, whether that's consulting, freelancing, teaching, or building something small on the side. Maybe you're an accountant who could take on 2 or 3 small business clients on weekends. Maybe you're a teacher who could tutor online in the evenings. Maybe you're handy and could take on side projects that pay cash. The specific hustle matters far less than the discipline of actually starting one and sticking with it long enough to see it grow, because the first few months of any side income stream are almost always the slowest and the least rewarding. And that's exactly where most people quit right before it would have started paying off. I've seen people in their 40s and completely transform their financial trajectory in 5 years just by adding a second stream of income and funneling nearly all of it directly into investments instead of lifestyle upgrades. That's the key part. New income only helps you if it goes to work building wealth, not if it goes straight into a nicer car or a bigger house, because a bigger paycheck that gets absorbed by a bigger lifestyle leaves you exactly where you started, just with more stuff and the same amount of stress. Growing your income and increasing your investing at the same time is how you compress 20 years of progress into 10. It is uncomfortable, it takes real effort, and it is absolutely still available to you. Now, let me tell you about the mistake that destroys almost everyone who tries to do exactly what I just described, because I need you to see it coming before it happens to you. It's not laziness, and it's not a lack of intelligence either, because I've watched genuinely smart people fall into the same trap over and over. It's impatience. People make one good decision. They cut their spending, they start investing, they pick up a side hustle, and then 6 months later, when they haven't seen dramatic results yet, they quit and go back to their old habits. Wealth building, especially starting at 40, requires a level of patience that goes against every instinct in your body because you feel the clock ticking and you want results. Now, but compounding does not reward urgency. It rewards consistency over years. Let me put a number on this because vague ideas about patience don't stick the way real math does. If you invest $500 a month starting today and earn something close to that long-run historical stock market average, in 15 years, you are looking at a number that could be well over $200,000, almost entirely built from consistency, not from some brilliant stock pick. But if you stop and start, if you panic during every dip and pull your money out, you don't just lose the money you withdrew. You lose all the future growth that money would have generated. I have watched markets do nothing for long stretches and then make up years of gains in a matter of months. And the only people who captured those gains were the ones who stayed in the game the entire time. The same is true for your personal finances. The person who saves steadily and invests steadily for 15 straight years without panicking and without quitting will run circles around the person who does it intensely for 4 months and then gives up. The second mistake is comparing your timeline to someone else's. Stop looking at people who started at 22. Stop scrolling through stories of some kid who got rich in their 20s, because that comparison does nothing but make you feel worse, and it doesn't change a single number in your own life. That is not your race. Your race started today, at whatever age you are, and the only version of you that matters is the one from today forward. The third mistake is trying to do all of this in your head instead of on paper. Write down your numbers. Track your progress monthly. The same simple way you tracked your starting point at the very beginning of this video. What gets measured gets managed, and what gets ignored gets worse quietly in the background until one day you look up and years have passed with nothing to show for them. If you avoid these three traps, quitting too early, comparing your race to somebody else's, and refusing to track your progress, you will be shocked at where you stand in 5 to 10 years from today. So here's my challenge to you. And I want you to actually do this, not just nod along and close the video. Today, not tomorrow. Today, I want you to sit down and write out your real financial picture. Every debt, every dollar of income, every dollar of savings, no hiding from any of it. Then I want you to pick one leak to fix this week and $1 amount you're going to start investing this month, no matter how small that number feels right now. That's it. That's how every single wealthy person I have ever met actually started, with one honest look at reality and one small, deliberate action, repeated over and over until it became a completely different life. You are 40, not 80. You have decades of compounding still ahead of you if you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start today with what you've got, because the perfect moment you're waiting for does not exist and never has for anyone at any age. If this video gave you something real, hit subscribe, because I'm going to keep giving you exactly this kind of practical, no-nonsense guidance, and you do not want to miss what's coming next. I'll see you in the next one.